The chamber was circular, ceiling domed in silver ala, its walls pulsing softly with projected star charts. At its center stood a hologram, grainy, flickering, but unmistakable, a recording of the Galactic Senate erupting in laughter. Earth? A blue-scaled senator sneered in the projection. Primitive apes with combustion engines and national borders. Let them orbit their rock and call it progress. The laughter echoed in the United Nations Galactic Liaison Hall in Geneva. The silence of Earth's delegation was deafening. Commander Leona Raz, clad in midnight gray fleet uniform, sat still in the front row, jaw tight, eyes narrowed. They mock what they don't understand, whispered Dr. Amir Bhatti beside her, a key member of Earth's teleportation research team. No, Leona said quietly, rising. They mock because they're afraid, and they don't know it yet. She left the room without another word. The air was thin and sharp at the edge of Earth's orbit, aboard the ESS Vantage Point, a classified observation platform invisible to most scans. Inside its lab module, a countdown ticked toward 0. Commander, the technician called. Phantom test in T-minus 30 seconds. Leona stood behind the control rail, arms folded. Across from her, through the thick glass viewport, the HSS Dauntless hung in space, humanity's first teleport-capable warship, its hull plated in matte black, electromagnetic fins pulsing softly. Dr. Elias Raz would have given anything to see this, murmured Amir. His voice carried weight. They all remembered the explosion at Lunar Lab Theta. They buried it under an accident report. Leona had buried her brother. She didn't answer. Her eyes stayed locked on the ship. Initiating jump drive, now! For an instant, the Dauntless vanished, not into a blink or a shimmer, but into nothingness. Sensors flatlined. A full second passed. Then, reappearance. Clear. Untouched. Now 7.3 light-years away, confirmed via beacon ping from the Proxima Relay Station. Cheers erupted in the lab. Scientists clapped, hugged, laughed in disbelief. Leona exhaled slowly. Mark the logs. Run diagnostics. Let's make sure we didn't just fake a miracle. But even as she said it, she felt it. It had worked. They'd done the impossible. In the dark vacuum near Virex Prime, seat of the Galactic Imperium, the mood was not celebratory. Archduke Kael'Zorotha's throne room was lit only by glowing aquamarine crystal veins threaded through polished obsidian. The Varn Admiral's heavy exoarmor clicked faintly as he rose from his command perch. A hologram played the Dauntless teleportation footage in an endless loop. Is it authentic? He asked. Yes, Your Grace, replied his aide, a tall Ilari diplomat. Confirmed by 5 cross-empire probes. The humans didn't simulate this. They jumped. Kael's lips curled in disdain. And no warp trail? No spike in localized graviton flux? None detectable. Kael turned. Then Earth has outpaced the laws of ascended travel. Which makes them not clever, but dangerous. And dangerous things must be broken. Back on Earth, inside the Defense Council chamber, Leona watched the President pace. This is war. President Okoro snapped. Do you understand? This test was supposed to be controlled. Contained. Now the entire Imperium thinks we're a threat. We are a threat, Leona replied calmly. Because we have a weapon they don't understand. That means we finally have leverage. We're not ready for leverage. We're not ready for war. We're not ready for surrender either. She shot back. Sir, respectfully, if we blink now, we go back to being mocked. Or worse, annexed. This is the first time Earth isn't being laughed at. Don't waste it. The President hesitated. His gaze wavered. I need time, he said. Leona didn't argue. She already knew what she had to do. That night, alone in her quarters aboard the Orbital Command Station, Leona opened a digital file labeled Raz Final Notes. The screen filled with handwritten formulas, raw equations, and fragments of quantum compression theory. There was a short voice recording at the bottom. She played it. Teleportation isn't just physics. It's trust. You're folding space based on a faith in data, in math, in signal purity. But deep down, it's chaos. It's blindfolded movement. And that's why they'll never see it coming. His voice cracked with passion. Leona stared at the waveform until it ended. Then she whispered, "I'll make them see." 2 days later, inside a sealed war room beneath the Himalayas, Leona gathered 6 officers and 3 scientists. Among them, Lieutenant Dallin, her second-in-command, and Nora, the quantum AI now bonded to the teleportation network. The room dimmed. A simulation rendered Kale's known fleet movement patterns and predictable jump paths. "We won't meet them in battle," Leona said. "We'll appear where they aren't looking. We'll phase behind them, above them, even inside their fleet formations." Dallin frowned. "Teleporting ships into active formations? That's madness." "It's unpredictability," she corrected. "Which is something the Empire doesn't understand. Every battle they've won has been by force of numbers and predictable movements. And we have neither. But we do have this." She turned toward the screen. "We call it Phantom Strike Doctrine." A pause. Then one of the scientists spoke up. "What happens if the Imperium hacks the grid? Or sabotages the beacons?" Nora's synthetic voice answered, smooth and measured. "Then I will sever the grid before they can misuse it. The code is bound to a singular key, held by Commander Raz. No override exists." Leona nodded once. "This isn't about overpowering them. It's about outmaneuvering them." "Then what's the first move?" Dallin asked. She smiled, cold and certain. "We teleport into their backyard and burn down their outposts." As the final preparations began, Leona stood at the viewport of her command ship. Beyond the glass, Earth spun slowly, bathed in gold and blue. Somewhere down there, her parents still didn't know what really happened to Elias. The report said engine failure. She had let it say that. But deep down she knew. The Empire hadn't ignored Earth's advances. They had feared Elias. And they had silenced him. No more. Now Earth had a fleet. Earth had a weapon. And Earth had her. The HSS Dauntless did not drift into the Riska system the way Imperial ships did. No long deceleration burn, no luminous warp scar, no polite announcement on public channels. One moment the void was empty, the next, a matte black silhouette existed where nothing had been. Leona watched the tactical holos bloom around her like a second cockpit. Blue icons, her 3 ships. Red, an Imperial mining outpost wrapped in defense rings and automated sentry pylons. "Confirm target," she said. Lieutenant Dallin's voice came tight through the bridge comms. "Outpost RIS-9. Mineral Relay Hub. 2 frigate-class patrols docked. Station guns hot." Leona's gaze flicked to the main viewport. RIS-9 looked like a spined wheel, rotating slowly, industrial lights marking its ribs. The Empire called it infrastructure. Earth called it leverage. A mere body stood behind her console, fingers hovering over a panel he didn't truly control. Scientists hated missions like this, the moment their miracle became a blade. "Nora," Leona said. The ship's quantum AI answered instantly, calm as snowfall. "Telemetry stable. Entanglement anchors are synced. You have a 5-minute window before the system flags anomalous mass insertion." 5 minutes is generous," Leona replied. "We'll be gone in 90 seconds. Dallin inhaled. "Commander, if we do this, there's no pretending we're just developing tech." Leona didn't look away from the station. "We weren't offered that luxury." She keyed the open channel to her fleet. "Phantom Group, execute Phase 1. No casualties. No heroics. We're sending a message, not collecting bodies." A chorus of acknowledgments followed, clipped and professional. Somewhere beyond her hull, 2 smaller ships, HSS Needle and HSS Lantern, slid into position, quiet as hunting cats. Leona raised her hand. "Mark." The Dauntless railguns did not fire in a dramatic barrage. 3 precision slugs left the barrel, each aimed at a different node: the station's long-range transmitter, its docking clamp power spine, and the control of its outer defense grid. On the tactical display, 3 red systems blinked and went dark. RIS-9 didn't explode. It simply stuttered. Lights dipped. The rotation slowed. A station that had never imagined being powerless tasted it for the first time. A sharp voice cut across the open frequencies, Imperial Standard, translated in Leona's ear. Unidentified vessel! You are violating Imperial extraction territory. Power down and transmit registry. Dallin glanced at her. They're confused. Let them be, she said, and opened a narrow band channel directly to RIS-9. This is Commander Leona Raz of Earth, she announced, her voice steady, almost conversational. We're conducting a demonstration. Your transmitter is disabled. Your defense grid is asleep. Your docked patrols can't launch. A pause, then the Imperial voice returned, suddenly edged. Earth is not recognized as... Leona cut in, sharp as a snapped wire. You recognize us now. She nodded to Amir. Phase 2. Amir swallowed, then typed the sequence for the final act, a clean overload of the outposts or routing system. It would melt relays, buckle a few conduits, and halt extraction for weeks. Costly. Non-lethal. Loud. Nora confirmed. Overload initiated. Thermal rise contained. Estimated structural damage 18%. No life support compromise. Leona exhaled. Good. On the viewport, RIS-9's outer ring vented white vapor like a silent scream. Warning beacons flashed. Docking bays locked down. A machine designed for obedience had no protocol for humiliation. Dallin leaned closer. Imperial patrol signatures spiking. They're powering up. Then we leave, Leona said. Phantom group phase out. The Dauntless vanished. For the outpost crew, it would feel like ghosts, ships appearing from nothing, striking with surgical certainty, then evaporating before retaliation could be calculated. For Leona, it felt like control, like taking a breath after years underwater. On Virex Prime, the laughter died quickly. Kale Zora stood before a semicircle of armored advisors. The projected image of RIS-9 rotated above the floor, its damaged segments marked in angry amber. They entered Imperial space, one officer said, voice trembling between outrage and disbelief. With 3 ships. No warp residue. No entry vectors. Kale's eyes didn't blink. And our response? We attempted lock-on. Targeting solutions failed. They ceased to exist. A second advisor spoke softer. The Senate feeds are already talking. Not mocking. Asking questions. Kale Zora stepped closer to the projection until the light painted his scaled face. Questions spread like infection. He turned, and the room tightened around his presence. Send agents, he ordered. Find their anchors. Their beacons. Their power spine. Strip their miracle down to wires. An aide hesitated. Your Grace, what if Earth intends negotiation? The strike avoided casualties. Kale Zortha's mouth curved, not a smile, but a judgment. That is not mercy. It is a warning. He lifted a hand. The projection zoomed in on a human insignia recorded by RIS-9's backup cameras, a simple blue sphere, traced by a white arc. They are inviting us to treat them as equals, he said. We will teach them the cost of imagination. Mobilization? An officer asked. Kale Zortha's answer landed like a hammer. Full armada. Earth celebrated for exactly 1 day. The footage, human ships blinking in, dismantling an Imperial station, blinking out, spread through the global net and then beyond it. For the first time in centuries, Earth wasn't begging for a seat at a table. Earth had flipped the table. Crowds gathered in New York, Lagos, Karachi, Sao Paulo, cheering, crying, chanting names that hadn't existed yesterday: Phantom, Dauntless, RAS. Then the fear arrived. In the presidential crisis suite, Okoro slammed a palm against the glass display. You just lit a fuse under a galactic empire. Leona stood across from him, hands behind her back. She looked tired, not apologetic. We didn't start this, she said. We're answering it. Okoro's voice lowered. They'll come. They'll bring fleets that can turn our orbit into ash. We don't have the numbers. We don't need numbers, Leona replied. We need continuity. We need the grid. Okoro pointed at the security feed, satellite images of infrastructure sites, red warning tags scrolling. My advisors want Project Phantom dismantled, scatter the parts, hide the research. If the Empire invades, there's nothing to steal. Leona stepped forward. If we dismantle it, we disarm ourselves. They won't invade for our schematics. They'll invade because we embarrass them. Okoro's stare hardened. You're not elected. No, she said quietly. I'm responsible. He turned away, jaw working. I'm ordering a freeze on all teleportation operations until further notice. For a heartbeat, the room went very still. Leona's gaze shifted to the ceiling mic, then to the guard at the door, then back to Okoro. Her voice softened into something almost human. Sir, if you do that, we die politely. Okoro's eyes snapped back. Are you threatening me, Commander? Leona didn't blink. I'm warning you. That night, a relay station in the Pacific went dark. Not from a storm. Not from accident. A clean strike. Precision. Silent. In the subterranean nexus control beneath Mars, hidden in red dust and secrecy, Nora's voice cut through the dim command hall. Alert! Unauthorized access attempt detected. Source trace indicates internal credentials. Amir's face drained. An insider. Leona's fingers tightened around her chair. The Imperial fleet arrived without ceremony, no speeches, no posturing. Just 400 ships, descending through Sol's outer edge like a steel tide. From the command bridge of the HSS Dauntless, Leona Raz watched a storm assemble. They didn't bring an armada, Lieutenant Dallin muttered. They brought extinction. Leona didn't flinch. Then let's become their mistake. Above them, holographic stars faded as Sol's gravity wrapped its fingers around the incoming host. Imperial dreadnoughts, cruisers, and escort spears formed a perfect arrowhead. Contact in 6 minutes, reported Nora. They're ignoring all hails. No diplomacy attempt. This is a purge. Leona stood in silence, the kind that only precedes chaos. She scanned her fleet status, 10 Phantom-class vessels, each equipped with prototype teleport drives. Against hundreds. Begin Phantom Warform Alpha, she ordered. Within moments, Earth's fleet fragmented. Not scattered, strategically vanished. The dauntless walls shimmered as its drive engaged. A heartbeat later, it materialized behind the outermost Imperial skirmisher. Targets acquired, Nora announced. Fire at will. Railguns slammed into the cruiser's thrusters. Explosions arced through its engine spine, and the ship buckled. Reposition. Dauntless blinked away, reappearing above an Imperial dreadnought just as it launched fighters. Before the enemy adjusted, another Phantom ship lantern cut across its bow and fired into its hangar. In the Imperial flagship Unyielding Oath, Kale Zora stood expressionless as his bridge collapsed into confusion. They're appearing everywhere, shouted his gunnery officer. No pattern, no approach vector. Kale's voice remained even. They can't be everywhere. 16 confirmed strikes across 3 flanks, no warp trail, no predictive logic. Kale leaned forward. Then treat them like a virus. Isolate. Quarantine. Bleed them until they vanish. Back aboard the Dauntless, the costs were already mounting. Nora, report damage, Leona said. 3 Phantom ships down. Needle lost entanglement integrity mid-jump, rematerialized inside an asteroid. Total loss. Dallin hissed. That's the 3rd glitch in 2 hours. The grid can't handle this load. We knew the risk, Leona replied, eyes scanning for new vectors. Route us behind that destroyer cluster. Minimum separation. Minimum? Dallin asked. That's threading a blade. Then sharpen it. The Dauntless blinked once more. They appeared between two enemy destroyers mid-broadside. Leona gave the order. Turrets fired. A wave of chain detonations erupted. Before return fire could land, they were gone again. On Earth, chaos brewed. The Global Defense Network broadcast the battle to command centers and public bunkers alike. People saw flashes of heroism and the creeping costs. News anchors stumbled over each update. Dauntless struck again. HSS beacon lost. Enemy has entered Mars orbit. In a safe house beneath Islamabad, Amir Bhatti monitored the teleport lattice, sweat beading on his forehead. It's burning up, he said aloud, though no one answered. Too many jumps. The quantum anchors are decoupling. If they fall out of sync. He reached for the manual override. Hesitated. Not yet, he whispered. Hold, just a little longer. Leona's voice echoed through the Dauntless as she gripped her console. Nora, reroute drive energy through lateral arrays. Give me one last clean jump. Nora responded, voice dulled. Grid integrity compromised. Jump may destabilize. Coordinate variance at 12%. Dallin looked at her, alarmed. We could reappear inside something. Inside someone. Leona met his gaze. And if we stay still, we die anyway. A tremor ran through the floor as the jump activated. Space turned white. Then black. Nothingness. Not even stars. The Dauntless rematerialized in dead orbit above Titan. Emergency sirens rang. Systems offline. Comms scrambled. Dallin groaned on the floor, blood on his temple. Leona lay near the pilot's seat coughing, her shoulder wrenched. Status? She croaked. Alive, Nora replied. Telemetrics compromised. No nearby fleet signals. Minimal power. Communications down. Leona pulled herself up with a grimace. Where are we? Saturn orbit. Approximately 1.2 million kilometers from last engagement point. Signal reach 0. Dallin sat up, dizzy. We're blind and marooned. Worse, Leona muttered. We're silent. Outside the viewport, Saturn's rings shimmered unbothered. Leona rested her head against the glass, staring into the void. In the silence, something cracked in her chest, not panic, but something deeper. Exhaustion wrapped in guilt. A face flickered in her mind. Elias. Her brother. Laughing at the first hoverboard test flight. Then coughing in a lab full of quantum dust. Then ash and vacuum. You died building this chaos, she whispered. And now I'm lost inside it. Nora broke her thoughts. Emergency ping detected. Unregistered phantom signal. Trajectory inbound. Leona's head snapped up. Friend or foe? Unclear. From the black came a shimmer. Then a ship. HSS Wraith, hull scorched, antennas frayed. But alive. The comms crackled. Command. Dauntless, do you copy? Leona grabbed the console. Wraith, this is Raz. What's your status? Damaged but mobile. We've been sweeping the grid for stragglers. We picked up your signature spike near Titan. You're lucky we had power left for one more jump. Leona slumped into her seat, tension draining from her muscles. Get us synced. We need to return now. As Wraith latched on for tethered recall, Dallin glanced at her. You almost died out here. Leona didn't look back. Almost isn't the same as finished. On the edge of Sol, the battlefield was disintegrating. Imperial ships floated like wounded beasts. Fires raged across empty voids. But Earth's fleet had bled too. Of the original 10, only 4 Phantom-class ships remained. The rest were gone, lost to glitch, fire, or fate. Yet something shifted. Kale Zora stood on his bridge, staring at an empty tactical screen. His officers reported no traceable positions. No targets. Just wounds. They didn't try to defeat us, one whispered. Kale growled. They tried to break our rhythm. He turned slowly. And they succeeded. On Earth, the atmosphere in command centers changed. Not victorious. Not safe. but no longer helpless. In Geneva, President Okoro watched silent footage, Imperial wreckage drifting, human ships phasing in and out. He picked up a secure line. Find Leona Raz. Tell her the freeze order is lifted. Back aboard the Dauntless, systems slowly rebooted. Leona leaned forward, staring at a new tactical image. Nora's voice carried a thread of urgency. High-level encrypted transmission intercepted from Virex Prime. Decode it. A pause. Then words scrolled across the screen. Order 77 initiated. Planetary cleansing authorized. Target Earth. Payload in transit. Dallin's face went pale. That's a war crime. Leona's eyes narrowed, cold fury rising. Kale's losing, and he knows it. Now he wants to end the war by ending us. She stood, steadied herself. Then we end this before that payload lands. The broadcast began with static. Then, a single image blinked into every data stream from the core of the Imperium to the farthest fringe colonies. A human ship, mid-jump, reappearing behind an Imperial cruiser and dismantling it in a single shot. No fanfare. No declaration. Only a voice. We are Earth. We asked for respect. You gave us silence. So now we speak through action. It lasted 19 seconds. But in those 19 seconds everything changed. On the slave world of the Lean 4, a mining overseer watched the clip and dropped his communicator. The workers around him, thin, scaled, and sunburnt, watched too. They had no weapons, no fleet, no voice. But that didn't stop them from tearing down the Imperial flag that evening. It started with one banner. By nightfall, 5 worlds had followed. Deep beneath the Martian surface, in the dimly lit Nexus core, Leona reviewed the wave of rebellion reports flooding in. We didn't plan for this, Dallin said beside her, astonished. We were trying to survive. Now we're a signal? Leona didn't look up. A spark doesn't choose what it ignites. Amir was tapping frantically at a holoscreen. If we act now, we can connect the outlier beacons to the core lattice. Extend the teleport network far beyond Sol. It'll burn the system, Dallin warned. You push entanglement fields that far without time calibration. We don't have time, Amir snapped. Kale's warhead is still in transit. Earth's days are numbered unless we hit back now. Leona turned to Nora. Can we handle the expansion? The AI's voice crackled, not quite smooth. Probability of cascade failure, 41%. Probability of saving Earth, 0% without action. Leona stared at the map. Earth at the center. Imperial space closing in like a fist. The entire phantom lattice glowing like a heartbeat about to seize. She looked at her crew. Then we gamble. Phase 1. Disrupt the Empire's ability to blind them. The Empire relied on jamming spires, massive obelisks pulsing with anti-quantum interference, buried in secure zones. Without disabling one, long-range phantom jumps couldn't target Imperial space. Leona led a strike team herself. HSS Whisper, a stealth-class frigate, blinked into low orbit around the brown dwarf in the Rattan expanse. Hidden there was Spire 7, buried under a fortress base known as Citadel Harnax. The assault was surgical. 3 humans and 2 augmented exomarines teleported directly into the fortress's control floor. Shots were fired. Smoke rolled through corridors. Leona, armored and precise, moved with machine-like focus. She planted the core disruptor on the Spire's central relay. Set the charge, she ordered, voice calm despite the gunfire behind her. Lieutenant Dallin, bleeding from a grazing wound, nodded. 3-minute timer. Too long, she said. 1 minute. He hesitated. We won't make it. I will. You go. He opened his mouth, but she was already turning away. The timer dropped to 60. Leona ran straight into the corridor fire. The explosion didn't shake a planet. It didn't destroy fleets. But across the quantum spectrum, it was a silence louder than any scream. Spire 7 fell. The phantom grid surged forward, finally piercing into enemy systems. Nora's voice echoed across the Mars nexus. Teleportation access confirmed across Central Imperial sectors. Grid expansion complete. Leona reappeared in the command hall moments later, armor scorched, one arm hanging limp. Her eyes were clear. Amir stared at her. You lived. Better than the alternative, she muttered. Dallin returned 15 minutes later. Both men embraced her briefly, without words. Now what? Dallin asked. Leona pulled up the latest fleet data. Now we pull the curtain back. In space, Earth's fleet launched the final maneuver, the Phantom Web. Fewer ships. Limited firepower. But teleportation was now everywhere. The grid stretched through 33 anchor nodes across 6 systems. Imperial scanners showed dozens of human ships, appearing, disappearing, striking, vanishing again. But it wasn't dozens. It was 6. They were using the same ships and rapid jump illusions, deploying holographic echoes from one node, then attacking from another. The illusion of an armada. The fear of an invisible swarm. Admirals in Kale's armada began to question their positions. Inside the unyielding oath, Kale slammed a gauntlet into his throne. They are lies! He roared. Phantoms and parlor tricks! Morale is fracturing, Your Grace, his advisor said carefully. 2 sectors have gone dark. Virex Prime requests your return for strategic reassessment. Retreat? Kale spat. From apes? They are no longer apes, the advisor said quietly. They are everywhere. And nowhere. Kale froze. He stared at the massive projection of Earth, now ringed by jump echoes and false fleets. A trap. A message. A declaration. I want the warhead dropped, he snarled. Now. In Earth orbit, sensors caught the spike. Kale had authorized Order 77, a forbidden weapon. A planet cracker en route. Time, less than 1 hour. Leona stood in the center of the command ring, eyes locked on the tactical feed. They're going through with it, Amir whispered. We don't have the firepower to intercept, Dallin added. We don't need firepower, Leona said. She looked at Nora. Can we override the payload? Not from this distance. But if we intercept it mid-jump, reroute the jump while it travels. You want to hijack the enemy's own weapon? Dallin said, stunned. Redirect it straight to Virex Prime, Leona said coldly. Amir looked horrified. That'll level the Imperial capital. Only their ruling spire, she replied. The people will survive. Their throne won't. Dallin stared. You're certain? No. She lifted her chin. But Kale was certain we wouldn't fight back. The hijack sequence began. As the warhead entered jump phase, Earth's phantom grid pulsed, its final surge. Nora activated the splice. In the throne room of Virex Prime, Kale was giving a speech when the sky shattered. A soundless flash. Then a hole in the heavens opened, and the warhead meant for Earth tore through it like a fallen god. The palace evaporated in white fire. Hours later, silence reigned. Earth did not burn. The Empire did not answer. No new fleets launched. No retaliation came. From the wreckage of Virex Prime, 1,000 worlds saw only one truth: Earth had struck back, and survived. Leona sat alone in her quarters. On her screen, footage of Kale's final words. The fire. The crater. She didn't smile. She stared, stone-faced, into the aftermath. Amir entered quietly. It's over. No, she said. It started. Started? She turned to him. They'll either rebuild their empire, or we'll build something better. Dallin entered next. Signal from the Thaleen Rebellion. They've raised a new banner. Not Earth's. Good, Leona said. It was never just about us.